Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages and sexualities, and welcome back to another film review. Today's film review is none other than the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So sit back, get your nets on, get your high heels on, and get ready for a spectacular review. So, what essentially is the Rocky Horror Picture Show about? It's about a couple who have been at a wedding, and essentially they begin to think of the prospect of getting married. And essentially, they start off the plot by pretty much pointing out that they are saving themselves for marriage. And then they come across the mansion in the dark. A dark, gothic mansion in the countryside. After getting a flat tire, they knock on the door in hopes of someone giving them a phone. But upon entering the property, they are shocked and amazed to be in the presence of such flamboyant guests and hosts to them. Suddenly, a man in a vampire cloak appears down an old elevator shaft, and he dances his way towards the front and sings his heart out and explains his peculiar look by pretty much trying to say to them, don't insult me, don't judge me, I'm different to you, but I'm beautiful. He then takes them upstairs. No, not in that way. But he takes them upstairs and essentially he brings them into a room and explains his experiment to bring a man to life. A man with blonde hair and a tan. And this man jumps out of the tank and essentially starts talking about feeling alive for the very first time. But then his short-lived entrance into the world is disrupted by a young boy named Eddie, a reckless motorbike cyclist who begins to come in and flash off at his girlfriend and essentially starts to point out that he has been frozen for so long, but now he's alive. However, the doctor, the great doctor here, who has been parading around in those fishnets, is not too happy about the whole thing and so decides to murder him in cold blood. And after murdering him, he takes his guests to dinner after a little bit of fun, of course. He tricks Janet and Brad into sleeping with him, and he takes advantage of their desires. But, of course, after the death of Eddie, the whole house is shook up. And to make matters worse, Eddie's father, the scientist, comes a knocking. To which the great doctor has an argument with him and points out that he feels so bored of him. A house full of such stamina, such defiance, and to be pleased with the presence of a man of science, a man investigating UFOs, is definitely going to put a fork in the doctor's work. And so, after so much betrayal and so much being set loose, the great doctor decides to Medusa everyone, at least until the final act. All except two. One being his butler and the other being his maid. When he prepares for the final show, he is interrupted mid-musical hiatus. As suddenly it turns out that his butler and that are not very happy. They want to go back to the planet transsexual in the constellation of Transylvania.
But after all the shenanigans that the Doctor has been performing, he, he is shot dead alongside his blonde. And the rest, well, as they say, baby, the rest is history.
So, what was my thoughts on the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Honestly, it was one of those films that before I ever saw it, I wasn't quite sure about. But once I watched it, I was so blown away that I just could not stop watching. And for that reason, I give the Rocky Horror Picture Show a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next film review. Till then, goodbye. And keep being beautiful, you beautiful people.